Hello, my name is Callie. I am a physical therapist here at the Power Gym, and I also coordinate our wellness series. If you could please keep yourself muted for the that way there's no disruption of the sound while Leah's talking, I would appreciate that. If you have questions, you can put them in the chat, and then you could also unmute yourself at the end for some Q&A. But I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Leah Pafford. She is an OT student who has been with us since November. She's here at the Power Gym working on her capstone project and has been providing education and resources for care partners of our folks here with Parkinson's. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to her. Thank you, Leah.
Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming. Like Callie said, I am an occupational therapy student. I'm in my final semester at the University of St. Augustine, all the way over in Florida. So I've been here since November, working with their care partners, providing some resources and support, and it has been such a great time. I'm so thankful to be here. I wanted to talk a little bit about the occupational therapy capstone process. So about 2 years ago, I picked this topic. It's a very choose your own adventure experience. You are encouraged to find a population or an area in which occupational therapy hasn't quite reached yet, but they absolutely could provide interventions, and then develop a program to reach that population. So in my research, I saw that there is a large unmet need for caregivers of most chronic diseases. When I started diving a little bit deeper, though, there was a lot of care partners of people with Parkinson's who were really advocating that they needed more support from the medical field. They were called the hidden patient, they were called the invisible patient, and they were really starting to speak up and say that they needed more education on the disease progression, which is totally within the scope of occupational therapy. So I'll talk a little bit more about later the program that I've been doing here, but that's kind of how I got here all the way out in Tucson from Florida. So today I'm going to talk about what occupational therapy is, its role in caring for care partners, what exactly is care partner burnout and fatigue, the current best practices on preventing it, and then do kind of a crash course education on everything I've learned so far through this process. So for starters, what is occupational therapy? Occupational therapists work directly with individuals, helping them master skills for achieving an independent, productive, and satisfying life. We rebuild clients' confidence in doing those occupations which were disrupted by illness or trauma. So we work very intimately with physical therapists, speech language pathologists, and really everyone in the therapy and medical field on restoring function with our clients and improving their quality of life. We really focus a lot under these big 5 domains I put up here. So activities of daily living are our bread and butter. That includes toileting, grooming, like brushing teeth, putting makeup on, showering, getting dressed, and feeding. We can work with our clients on rest and sleep participation. We can work with students of all ages and all grades in the school system to help them better participate in their education. We can work in the actual work field on ergonomics and work hardening programs, especially after an injury. We work on social participation with our clients. And then we work with our clients on re-engaging in play and leisure and those occupations that are really meaningful to them. So caregiving refers to the action of helping an individual carry out their basic needs and everyday tasks. More than 34 million Americans currently care for an adult over the age of 50. Half of those adults have neurodegenerative diseases like Parkinson's disease. Caregiving can be done in a formal, paid way, or it can be done informally by friends, family, or community members who are just volunteering their time to assist a loved one. Research found that 23% of Americans that provide unpaid informal caregiving have never received training to help with tasks such as 23% of Americans, research found that 23% of Americans provide unpaid informal assistance to ill, disabled, elderly people each year. And of that 23%, 50% have never received formal caregiver training to help with those activities of daily living, like getting dressed, showering, and toileting. So that's where occupational therapy can really step in and provide education and training. When you think about transitioning into a new role, for example, starting a new job, you have job orientation, or transitioning to a new school, you'll have a school orientation. even transitioning into motherhood, you can take classes, you can read books. That's where the care partners were really starting to speak up. They wanted more training and more education. They needed some more support. So occupational therapy can jump in and help them meet that need. They can help improve their quality of life and improve their well-being. In the last 25 years, Parkinson's disease is the only neurological disorder whose burden, as measured by disabilities, deaths, and numbers affected, has all increased even after adjusting for age. Due to its chronic and progressive nature, providing care for a person with Parkinson's disease imposes a higher burden of care on care partners. Care partners have reported that their caregiving role has caused an increased financial strain, disrupted their family and social life, and imposed limits on personal freedom and time. Research has also found that care partners of people with Parkinson's disease are more likely to become depressed than care partners of general feral elderly in the community. These are just 2 quotes I grabbed from research I found because there is some interventions they're developing to mediate this issue, but there just needs to be more. And that's kind of what I'm just getting at with all of this. This is pulled from a research article about stroke education. It's the current best practices in the field. The researchers found that interventions that included information about stroke education, training the care partners, providing coping strategies to the care partners, and then providing support and counseling and teaching them problem-solving techniques led to improvements in psychological and social support outcomes. So a little bit of everything. And that's kind of what I've been trying to do with my care partner support program here at the Power Gym. It has been running for the past 6 weeks. It's been such a phenomenal experience. Back in November, I surveyed a handful of members here at the Power Gym and asked them what they wanted to learn about, what they felt they were lacking in their care partner role. And I took that information and I made little tiny bite-sized like educational segments. So every week we meet for 50 minutes. The first 20 minutes is that education and training that is so important. And then the next 30 minutes is just a time to build community, talk to each other, support each other, exchange advice, or even just socialize with each other, whatever they need that week. And putting all that together, we have created our program. And you're more than welcome to join. I'll give out the dates and times at the end. So transitioning into the rest of this PowerPoint presentation, I'm kind of just going to do a crash course of all the education that I've been doing with the care partners. So it's a little bit of everything. And I wanted to start off, talking about stress and mindfulness. Mindfulness involves the awareness that emerges through paying attention on purpose in the present moment and non-judgmentally to the unfolding of experience moment by moment. I wanted to kick it off with mindfulness because I found a lot of really awesome research. One research article in particular was conducted on people with Parkinson's disease and their care partners. They participated in a 9-week mindfulness-based stress reduction program. So every week they just had an hour of education on mindfulness. And at the end of that research study, all of the care partners reported feeling more optimistic. They reported feeling healthier. They reported feeling more confident, and they reported having more mindful awareness. So I thought it was a really good way to kick off the program, just teaching some of those techniques that care partners can start implementing into their life, especially during really stressful moments. And I really found this quote, and I just really liked it. Stress is when your perceived demands are greater than your perceived resources to meet those demands. Mindfulness reduces our perceived demands to what is actually demanding in this moment and grows our mind's resources to meet this. So stress, we all know and love stress. Stress happens when something triggers you. Inside your body, you get a huge release of hormones, you get a lot of adrenaline, you got a lot of cortisol, you get all worked up and you enter that fight or flight state that we're all familiar with, where you might get nauseous, your heart's racing, you're getting really sweaty, maybe you're talking really fast like I'm trying not to do, get really nervous. And then you need a transition. So something needs to calm you down. You need to get out of that fight or flight response. Ignoring or denying or distracting ourselves from stress is effective in the short term, but it can be detrimental to our health and happiness in the long run. So if you keep just ignoring your stress and kind of brushing it under the rug, that's when you start seeing a lot of those long-term consequences like heart disease, increased blood pressure, obesity, migraines. So you want to find a healthy way of coping with that stress. Mindfulness practices can lower levels of perceived stress, anxiety, and depression, improve mood, and improve our overall sense of well-being. Here are some ways that you can start a mindfulness practice. There's no wrong answers, but here are just some like quick and easy ways that I gave our care partners to start with. And one of them is breath technique. Breath is a really good way to defuse that stress cycle. When you first enter that fight or flight, when you start breathing, that buildup of carbon dioxide starts working some magic in your body, and it signals to your brain that we're safe, it's okay, we can slow down, we can be calm. So the breath technique that I practice with our care partners is called box breathing. I really like it for a lot of reasons. It has some really good psychological effects. One of my favorite things about it, though, is it makes you count. It makes you like really focus on the numbers. So when you're starting to get really stressed and you're starting to spiral and really think about everything that's coming next, rerouting your brain to just be focused on these numbers can be so relaxing. And then after you're done with your box breathing, you can kind of be like, okay, let's tackle this issue now that I am a little bit centered, a little bit more focused. So how you do box breathing is you breathe in for 4 seconds, you hold for 4 seconds, you breathe out for 4 seconds, and then you hold for 4 seconds. And I want us to go ahead and do that together right now. I'll count us out. Kind of get comfortable in your chair, get ready, and then take a big breath in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. And then breathe in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, breathe out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. One more time, in, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, out, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4. So that can be a really good one, even if you're sitting in traffic and it's really stressing you out. Do some little breath work. Another really good thing you can do is get into guided meditations. I like this because you can either pick, a 5-minute guided meditation or a 50-minute guided meditation. It's really up to you and how much time you have. Really good way to find some guided meditations are to just go on YouTube and type them in. I know if you Google it too, one of the top results is UCLA has a whole bunch of guided meditations that they put out, and they're all for different topics. Like one is for like sleep, one is for like stress. So you can kind of pick which one is applicable to you that day. And they're in a lot of languages, which I thought was awesome that they were translated. So that guided meditation is just a good way to also not focus on the craziness that's going on right now and kind of refocus yourself before you tackle the issue. Stretching is a really great way, especially forming a yoga practice. But really any stretching is just a nice way to get your body moving, get your blood pumping. It feels good. It's another thing you can do for 5 minutes or 50 minutes. If you wanted to start a yoga practice at home, I know that's another thing you can just hop on YouTube and Google. I know Yoga with Adriene is a really good resource that me and my care partners in my group had talked about. And kind of in the same vein of physical activity, when you're feeling stressed out, there's something called the 20 minutes of red walk, and it can be any color and it can be any amount of time. But when you're getting really stressed out, some research has recommended like going outside, taking a walk around your block and pointing out everything you see that's red. And you don't have to count it, you don't have to keep tally, but just think about, oh, there's a red car, there's someone wearing a red shirt, there's someone with red hair, red shoes. And that's just a really good way to also distract yourself and kind of calm down, and you're getting that really good benefit of exercise as well. Getting creative is an awesome way to start a mindfulness practice too. And that can be anything. You can be something very structured like pottery, or it can just be taking out your notebook and doodling. One of our care partners was really into this thing called Zen Tangle, and it was awesome. She showed us, it was really fun to look at. Along with creativity, you can do journaling, which can be something, once again, very structured, like looking up a journal prompt, or you can just have a Dear Diary moment, open up a piece of paper and just write it all out. It'll help you feel better. And finally, we talked about habit formation. So I just talked about all these great ways to start a mindfulness practice, but how do you make it stick? Research has shown that it takes about 66 days for a new habit to stick. And they recommend that the best way to get a habit to really stick is called cue-associated habit formation. So that's linking that new habit to an old habit that's already permanent in your life. So my favorite example is if you really want to get into stretching, but you keep forgetting to start it, when you wake up in the morning and you start your pot of coffee, do a little stretch. And that way you already know every single morning you have to have your cup of coffee. So it's a really easy way to cue yourself, okay, now I'm gonna stretch a little bit. Another easy one is while you're watching TV during commercials, maybe get out your coloring book and color a little bit to calm yourself down. And then you have a little time or two. So it's really just a good way to use your time. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about activities of daily living. As a care partner, you are entering into this collaborative relationship with your care recipient. And it's really important that you provide the appropriate amount of support for them. I know it can be very hard to take a step back and let them do some stuff for them, but especially what I learned in occupational therapy school is just how important it is for care recipients to maintain independence. And so it's important as a care partner to kind of figure out how much to get involved and when you should encourage your care recipient to do stuff on their own. Things like activities of daily living, toileting, showering, grooming, dressing yourself are just really good ways to maintain that independence and stay healthy in the long run for both of you. It keeps your care recipient healthy and it keeps the care partner healthy. So some of the, what I want to start off with is environmental modifications, because it's a really good one. Kind of just like go through your house and really consider, is your house set up to be the safest thing in the world? One of the good first things to look at is your rugs. If you have a lot of rugs, do you have non-slip grips underneath them? Rugs can be a huge fall hazard. So making sure your rugs are safe is a good first step. Also, if you have pets, making sure your pet toys are kind of like kept clean and clear. That's a big fall hazard. And then any cord, I know people in person can see we have a ton of cords up here. So if you have cords, like make sure they're kind of tucked away or taped to the wall. Just assessing that sort of stuff. Things that you use every day, having them in a arm's reach away, not like up on the highest shelf where you have to get up on your tippy toes. Just kind of modifying your environment to make it a little bit safer. Range of motion and strength exercises. I know our home exercise programs we all know and love so much. They're so important to maintaining activities of daily living, especially like range of motion. It takes a lot of flexibility to bend down and tie your shoes or even to comb your hair in the back of your head. It takes a lot of shoulder mobility. So really encouraging your care recipient and maybe even doing it with them, the home exercise programs that our physical therapists give us so lovingly. Energy conservation. This is a really good one. A lot of the research shows that like you're most energetic in the morning. So maybe getting all your big tasks done in the morning. And as a care partner, allowing your care recipient to have independence. But then every now and then, if like you have something really big planned, like maybe you're going to a wedding or a birthday party, and you want your care recipient to have a lot of energy for that, going ahead and helping them with the task. So I know earlier I said to let them do it on their own, but also kind of having the ability to be like, no, I'm going to step in and help today so that we can conserve some energy. And that's also kind of in hand with the environmental modifications of setting up the room to just kind of put everything in the same spot so you're not running around everywhere conserving energy. Using rhythmic music, I thought this was an awesome idea. Of course, this is person by person. Some individuals need like no distractions and quiet to get their tasks done. But I read somewhere that using rhythmic music, especially if you can keep a beat, that can kind of help someone stay on task, stay focused, and get that task done while being on beat with the music. I wanted to dive a little bit more into dressing because that came up a lot in the survey I conducted back in November as something that care partners didn't feel prepared to help their care recipient complete. One of the things I learned in occupational therapy school was the amazing amount of devices that exist to help individuals. A lot of really genius people before me already created a lot of stuff that can help complete these tasks. So maybe using something like a sock aid or a shoehorn can help your care recipient get dressed for a longer amount of time. Kind of like what I was saying on the last slide, having all your clothes in one spot. So if your shirts are on that side of your room and your socks and underwear are on that side of the room, is there a way you can consolidate everything? And beyond that, can you put a chair right next to your closet? So that way you go and grab all your clothes and then you can sit right down and get dressed. You're not running back and forth. And some people get stand when they dress. Maybe consider conserving some energy and sitting on a firm chair, because even sitting bedside can be a little tricky. You don't have a back to support you or armrest to use to get up. So finding like a nice chair to like sit in while you're getting dressed can really help and prevent falls. Like I said, having your dressing devices easily accessible. Someone in our group suggested like keeping everything right under the bed. And I thought that was a good idea. So that way they're kind of hidden out of the way. You're not going to trip over them, but you always know they're there. You can reach down, grab them, get dressed really fast. And using our lovely power moves cues, especially for fine motor tasks. You can get a button hook or a zipper aid to help with some of those really fine motor tasks for dressing. For shoelaces, they have, no tie shoelaces, and they have magnetic shoelaces that could help. But another thing to do with your care recipient is cue them to do some power hand flicks. Kind of gets the blood flowing, gets those hands awake, and then after they do that, they might have an easier time manipulating those really fine motor tasks, getting that zipper up and getting that button buttoned. Okay, so in the kitchen, like I said, lots of really awesome adaptive equipment out there already that it's really person by person. Some of this works for some people, some of it doesn't. So, I mean, consult your physical therapist, your speech language pathologist, consult your medical professionals before you like make any big switches. But I just wanted to include it because if it would help you, that's awesome. So using those weighted utensils, using non-slip plates or the plates with the buildup, using straws, using adapted cups, those can all help with feeding. Using more power moves cues, so cue your care recipient to power up and sit up nice and tall when eating. Helping around the kitchen. If maybe your care recipient used to be the cook and they still want to cook, they absolutely can. Can you get a stool in the kitchen that they can sit on while they chop veggies, or a stool to sit on while you clean your dishes? Having those chairs around is just such a great way to conserve energy and still be included in all these tasks. And on the same vein as environmental modifications, having all those everyday items within reach on the countertop, so you're not running around the kitchen or you're not reaching up or bending all the way down to get what you need for the day. So medication and symptom management. I thought it was a really interesting article about why some people don't take their medication and so why some people do take their medication. And what it said is that they got a whole bunch of people, and everyone in the group that had a chronic disease wouldn't take their medicine because they didn't really believe it was working. But all the people in the study that had Parkinson's disease, if they didn't take their medication, they fully believed it worked and was really effective but they just couldn't remember to take it. This really just spoke to me as like, it's so important to have a really good medication schedule, and it's so important to work together to create that and collaborate so that we know that our care recipients are getting the medication when they need it. So there's two good apps that I found. I think these were recommended to me when I became Power certified, actually. The MediSafe app can track the medication, and multiple people can use it on the same account. So the care recipient and the care partner can be on it, and that way you get notifications when the medicine is taken and all that. The APDA symptom tracker app is a really good way to track symptoms and manage your care. You can kind of treat it as a journal. I know doctor's appointments don't happen every week, so you might not remember back in November how you were feeling. But if you keep a daily log of anything you want to share with your doctor, that's a really good way you can take your phone out during your appointment and kind of read through all of your notes and just track what's going on in your body. And then I learned about that pill box on the bottom the other day. It's like an alarm clock pill box. It's called the MedQ. I thought it was very helpful. It was a little expensive on Amazon, but it like alerts you on an alarm clock basis when you need to take your medicine. I thought it was neat. And the other thing I wanted to talk about on this side is the importance of safe transfers. I just wanted to say, like, advocate for yourself and ask your physical therapist to teach you how to safely transfer your care recipient in and out of a car, or how to safely get your care recipient up off the floor during a fall. That is, especially in and out of a car, like you can get hurt if you don't have the proper body mechanics to do that. And if you're hurt too, like that's no good. So definitely like work with your physical therapist and learn how to perform those safe transfers so that way you can keep you and your care recipient healthy. Okay, healthy diet. We talked about this today in my care partner group, and it was so much fun. I watched a talk on Parkinson's and Movement Disorder Alliance, and I just learned so much. I thought it was the most interesting thing. So I wanted to kind of add that into today's presentation as well. The speaker in that video started off by saying that she gets asked all the time, like, is there a diet that stops or prevents or cures Parkinson's disease? And her short answer was no, but there is a diet that keeps you healthy as you age, which is just as important. So she recommended the Mediterranean DASH diet, which is low sodium, lots of fish, lots of healthy fats like olive oil and avocados, lots of veggies, a lot of that stuff that you see in like Greek cuisine. So she went on to talk about antioxidants, which I learned was any food that has vitamin A, C, and E in it. So it really is a superfood. It really is a lot of bang for your buck. And it's a really easy way to see, decide if a food is an antioxidant or not, is when it's really bright in color. So like blueberries, beets and radishes, sweet potatoes, those really like deep green kale leaves. And antioxidants are produced naturally in your body. They help get rid of like bad stuff that you pick out throughout the day from just the environment, but it's always good to supplement them. Vitamin D, I learned that sunscreen blocks the absorption of vitamin D. So you can get the vitamin D from the sun. It helps keep your bones nice and strong and your bones nice and healthy. But even if you live in really sunny places like Florida and Arizona, you might be vitamin D deficient because sunscreen's blocking out the absorption. So just something to be aware of because we want to keep healthy bones. Vitamin D is also linked with mood. In the winter, when the sun goes down a little bit earlier, some individuals can get seasonal affective disorder because they're not getting that good vitamin D. So maybe just being aware that you could be vitamin D deficient or to get vitamin D even when you wear sunscreen, I guess. Magnesium is really good for motility, gut motility. It's really good for constipation, which is a common symptom for people with Parkinson's disease. So it could be a really good supplement to add into your diet. It's also really good for mood. It helps produce serotonin and melatonin. So it's good for sleep and it's good for good mood feeling. And you can get magnesium also from leafy greens, salmon, and pumpkin seeds, which she recommended. Carbohydrates are awesome to help prevent nausea when taking medications. Things like whole grain crackers, bananas, applesauce, really good for the stomach. And they also give you a little bit of energy. And then, of course, drinking water, lots and lots of water, especially here in Arizona. The recommended is 64 fluid ounces, so eight ounce cups a day. And one of my care partners spoke up today in the class, which I thought was a really good point, and reminded me that it could be any fluid. So it could be Pedialyte, Gatorade, Propel. Just get fluid in your body, get some water in your body, and it helps you feel good. It also helps raise your blood pressure, which is a huge factor in falls. If you're sitting for a long time and you stand up too fast and you get a little dizzy, staying really well hydrated is going to help prevent that from happening. So we also talked about planning for the future. It's a hard conversation to have, and I actually talked to an occupational therapist who works in hospice care on just some really good advice that she gives her people that she works with too. And one of the things that she said that really stuck with me is that the anticipation can be worse than the reality. And she said to like really plan a time to talk about it because it's going to be helpful in the long run. And engaging your care recipient in this conversation can be very meaningful and empowering to them. It's giving them the ability to plan their future as well. It's leaving them in charge somewhat. So some of the tips that I heard were tell your care recipient, hey, I want to talk to you about something at lunch. So you're not just springing it out on them. And then once you get there, even then setting an alarm. So setting it for 45 minutes or setting it for an hour. And that way, you know, it's going to end. You're not spending all afternoon on this topic, just emotionally wearing yourself out. And if you don't cover the full conversation, you don't cover the full topic in that 45 minutes or an hour, that's okay. You can always revisit it, but be done for the day, kind of take a breath and kind of take it slow and take a breather because it's a heavy conversation. And rephrase it as what matters to you versus what is the matter with you. Because you want to, like I said, empower them and include your care recipient in this conversation. Okay, and then this is near the end of my presentation. You are all phenomenal care partners. I've had the best time here working with everybody. One of the things, tools an occupational therapist sometimes uses is called the role inventory checklist. And it does exactly that. It just takes inventory of the roles that are really important to you. So some of the stuff you can choose is like, I am a volunteer, I am a daughter, I am a reader, a runner, an accountant, whatever is important to you. And I just wanted to encourage everyone, maybe take some time today and write out all the amazing attributes that you are and reflect on it. If I had to sum up everything I learned in like one sentence from this, it's that the best way to prevent care partner burnout and fatigue is really and truly, you need to take time for yourself, whether it be 5 minutes or an hour. You need to carve out just a few minutes where you're focused on you. And so look at that list of attributes, see all the amazing things about you, and see what you can reincorporate into your life to give yourself some me time and give yourself a hug. You're all doing amazing. So I host our group every Wednesday at 11 a.m. So our next one is on February 22nd. You can either come here to the Power Gym or you can join via Zoom. Starting in March, it's going to look a little bit different since I'm leaving to go back to Florida. One of our members of the group currently is going to take over. It is going to transition to be in person and the first and third Wednesday of every month. So just be on the lookout for that. And that's it. Thank you. Yeah, if anyone has any questions, now's the time.
No, nothing. All right. Well, if no one has any questions, you can go ahead and just thank them for coming.
All right. If no one has questions, then thank you everyone so much. I really appreciate. Oh, we have one in person.
Oh, no.
Is the audience allowed to ask questions?
Yes, of course.
I was a care partner. I'm now a widower. But I would say that care partnering was one of the most satisfying things I have ever done. And one thing that I would encourage care partners to do is to trust the way they're doing it. A lot of people will tell you what you should do. And I found that in general was not very helpful. It's helpful to have information, but at one point in my own case, there was an intervention because my children didn't think I was taking care of myself. And it can get a very difficult situation. So trust what you do and take care of yourself. All of your advice to take care of yourself is important, but try not to be overly influenced by other people telling you what you should do.
Absolutely.
I'll say one last thing in that way, that being a care partner is often a new aspect of the relationship with the care recipient. And it opens up all kinds of closeness that you don't necessarily think you're ever going to have in a relationship. And it can be one of the best phases of your life.
Awesome. Thank you.
I did type it in as he was going that way, in case it was too much to repeat.
Trust yourself as a care partner, and it can be one of the most rewarding things you ever do in your life.
Thank you.
All right. All right.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. I hope that was helpful.
Thank you, Leah.